Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball, who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Welcome to the episode 457 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast. And I believe it's going to be one of fire. A lot of things have taken place. Those that like chaos, well, it has officially happened in the MEAC. And we have special guests on the show. We'll get to that shortly, who that is and who that will be. You'll have all the regulars on here as well, but it's that time of the year when things get really special. The show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small, from the NEIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. Short, we just call it the HBCU sports pedagogy. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-hosts, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, as well as each of our guests. That is AD Drew, and that's AD Drew from SportsWrap, Brian and AD of SportsWrap. We also have BJ Jones, Joshua Sim Sr., has made his presence known. He will be here as he promised everybody he would. He's here. And we also have Erica Lee in regards to all of those of the X's and O podcast. We've been looking forward to get this group together for a while now. And it would just happen that this seems to be the right time. But let me tell you what happened yesterday. Howard scored the first touchdown, and something told me that it just was not an ordinary touchdown. And it's been about a year since I had to do this, but I put upset alert. And I trended literally the rest of the game because throughout the game, it did not change from an upset alert in terms of scores. Howard never trailed in the game. They ultimately put up a 50 spot, and I'll let Erica and Joshua talk about the meaning of that from last year. It's 50-20 was the final score in terms of that. But it's one of those days as we get all these ladies and gentlemen to join us in regards to what that looks like when we have Charles with his famous look with his hand on the shoulder. We have Mike Washington that is in Brazil that decided to join the show today. So that's fascinating. Joshua has the same look, but it's a different spurt this today with hand on the shoulder. But it's a beautiful thing when we get these people together in series because we get to talk some really good football. But it's one of those days as we get started. Let me do it appropriately. Shout out to Erica. I don't know if you partake in Victory Cigars, but it is our deal on Sunday mornings that we go around with all of our hosts on the show, because we all co-host the show. I just have the lead. That we present those that teams have been victorious, a shout out with a victory cigar. So Erica, to your Howard Bison, here's your victory cigar. Mike, all the way from Brazil, you get a victory cigar in terms of your Peruvian Panthers. I see you got your 3B tailgaters on, so you join the thing.
That's right. You know,
unfortunately,
tailgaters and PV.
Go ahead, Mike. Mike is excited.
That's right. You know, tailgaters and PV. I am here sipping on some cachaça, Afro-Caribbean Brazilian rum in celebration of that victory. Sorry, BJ. I love you to death, but I had to celebrate this one. I got some Sam Cooke playing in the background because we ain't beat Southern at home in a while. So I was playing. It's been a long time coming. So to the Kinshasa.
Only 2 years ago, but BJ Jones, you wanted to respond to that?
Hey, in a way, it was a win for us too. So congratulations. As you can see, ain't nobody on the southern side saying at all. We are very excited this morning, my brother.
Oh man, they had news coming out of College Station, and they might have news coming out of Baton Rouge as well. For those that follow college football, you understand what we're talking about. Let me go back to Erica, our special guest. Ladies first. Let me make sure that she got a chance to say her words of wisdom.
First off, happy birthday, Josh. Hope it was wonderful yesterday.
Ouch! Ouch!
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. 50.
See, this is what we've been waiting on all year with the X's and O's. They've been working to put the show together and special things. It may be delayed a little bit, but you can only imagine when it's time to come on, it will be special. Josh, I'd be remiss if I didn't give you a chance to retort. That's what we do on the show. We're fair. And then AD Drew, I'll come to you.
Well, giving honor to God who was first in my life, I come to you guys from the humble church of 1801 Fayetteville Street, where we have the residing pastor, the Honorable Trey Oliver. I visit you guys today in the words of the great Malcolm X, who says, by any means necessary. And I'm up this morning watching Godfather 2 here in the hotel. It is the scene where Michael is getting presented the check from Senator Geary. Yeah. And Senator Geary then comes into the office and tells Michael Corleone that not only is he not going to subside with him on giving him the gaming license, but that he is going to request that Senator Geary pays the fee himself. And so I give that as a notion because today I too feel like I have been given the task of paying the gaming fee. I woke up yesterday a year older, a year wiser, a year more excited, exuberant, happy. And I can, without a shadow of a doubt, say today that yesterday was probably the worst birthday party I've ever had. So, in due fashion, Doc, Mike, Chuck, BJE, my good brother from the highest of Seven Hills, AD Drew, I have coined a phrase in this HBCU media for days like this. And it is, it's fairly known. I mean, it's not like it's not nothing that we haven't always said. But I've tried my best to coin this phrase. And today I am here to eat my crow. So, Erica, to the victor goes the spoils. Yeah, I'm going to keep this real. This don't feel good here today. Now, this ain't all right, dog. This ain't all right. This don't feel good. And
it feels wonderful for me.
We are going to take this feeling out on Delaware State in the most ridiculous way possible next Saturday back in the next. But nonetheless, though, as always, listen, man, I come in winning. There was a notion that was flying around from some people that there's a such thing as a good loss and a bad win. I mean, I done been around this game too long and respect this game too much to be talking about something being a good loss and a bad win, and you put a good loss over a bad win. Man, it's too hard to win on Saturdays. And Doc, I ain't trying to take this over. I'm just saying, man, I've been around this game since I picked the ball up at 2 years old. I ain't put this football down since then. I've loved this longer than I've probably loved any other thing other than my family in this life. And when you are in a heavyweight championship fight in this game, when you win, man, I don't care what happens on the other side. I'm never going to put a loss over a win. It's too difficult to do. B, you know this. Dog, it's too hard to do. Nobody takes it easy on nobody. And flat out yesterday, Howard Bison punched us in the mouth. They knocked us out, and we didn't get back up. And that's what you expect in a heavyweight championship fight. You don't want nobody to take it. You don't want it to go to the scorecards. In a heavyweight championship fight, you knock the champ out, and the champ don't get back up, it's over with. And we didn't get back up yesterday. As much as we tried to punch back, we didn't. So I got to salute to the Howard Bison. It's not so much eating crow. It's just I respect that version of football. I respect that version of this game. Always will, always have, always will, man. I respect that version of this game. Knock me out. You know, you leave it close with us, we might, So I respect that, man. Great win. 365 days. You get to hang this over me. And we'll see y'all back in the next year. Whatever.
Doc.
He went to church. Go ahead, y'all.
It's part of a Shenanigans fan base that I'm part of from Jackson State. It is so much fun to just kind of sit back and watch today. I just have to just.
That's what happens when you have an open day. They do not play.
Yeah.
Especially before the Soul Bowl, when it will get interesting. AD Drew.
Yeah.
Bless you, Lincoln of California, because unlike some of you all on this panel today, I did not have to go through those woes. As FAMU, even if we would have lost that game just would not have meant anything for the overall picture. But we did win it with our backup quarterback on yesterday. Need to send a text out to my brother in Atlanta, John Grant, to see if yesterday's results kind of pivoted some of the marketing plans for the Celebration Bowl. Because, everybody was looking forward to...
I texted him with my upset alert, first thing, right after I posted on Twitter and posted in the private forum. And he didn't respond. He called back at the end of the game because he was there to present the invitation. I said, you need to put that back in the suitcase.
I heard a lot of people were there. Busload fans, MEAC trophy, celebration bowl involved.
You know what that reminds me of?
That's what we do though. We travel. We always travel. North Carolina Central fan base is a big time traveling group, but I ain't got nothing to say. Let me go back.
How many baseball fans on here remember 1986 Boston Mets? Boston up, 2 outs, bottom of the 9th inning. The plastic is up over the lockers. The champagne carts are in the locker room because Boston is getting ready to win their first championship in 86 years. No, well, it wasn't 86 years. It was 70 some odd years at that point in time. And there's a hit by Mookie Wilson, scores a run. Gary Carter gets a hit. You all know the story. And they stripped that locker room in about 2.3 seconds, and they came in, and we had a game 7. That's what yesterday felt like.
They were doing a review of that game, and they said that dude was on the microphone. He said, "Get out of there! Get out of there!"
Hey, I know this.
That's what I tried to call Josh and text him. I said, "Get out of there! Get out of there! Get out of there!"
If Howard
stand up, even though I caught him in the car playing the Hispanic music, that was deep.
If Howard gets to Atlanta, John Grant gonna have to change the brand of the champagne and change the brand of the wine because that's different crowd.
I enjoy Moet and Chandon and please and thank you.
I don't want to see Howard. I don't want to see Howard in there.
I told y'all.
Howard not football fans. Howard's not really football fans.
But
I don't want to see Howard there.
We're event people, and that's an event.
I told y'all.
But I want to see a game, not a BET informational.
Listen, it'll be a game.
See a BET video.
It'll be a game. We'll be there. It's an event. We're gonna show up for an event.
Here's the question. Here's the question. Because I I've got to work that game. I worked the Celebration Bowl. This will be the 5th year in a row. Will I have to go through the extra security because the vice president is going to decide to show up because Howard is playing for the national championship? If that shit occurs,
you're gonna have Andrew Young. You're gonna have Kamala.
No, Kamala requires getting there 5 hours before the game, and the game's at noon.
I don't even want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about this because
we still got one more game. Be careful, you have the one.
Still one more week. A problem, and they have their eyes on us all year. They've been targeting us. They've had it for us in 35-6 last year at their house. Basketball, they've had it out for us. Literally, it's all they talk about. All over their student center is beat Howard signs. And, we don't care about them, but they seem to be quite preoccupied with that. So they're coming to Green, 2400 6th Street Northwest, Washington, 23059. And we have to show up. We have to show up and we have to put them away.
What is this thing about the MEAC where everybody gives out their address for the institution?
Everybody got to give out their address.
I like that. We need to add that in the swag vernacular. With that being said, let's not spoil the league outside of that. We did have 2 championship games yesterday. We had the CIAA and we had the SIC. In the CIAA, we had Fayetteville State versus Virginia Union. Virginia Union gets it done, 21-10. It was close for a lot of that game. It got to 14-10 when you thought Fayetteville State was going to have a chance about the 2-yard line or so to sneak it in to actually tie the game. And they were forced to kick a field goal, which made it 14-10. Virginia Union scored a touchdown to really pull things out. So kudos to the CIAA. With that being said, they did have the CIAA football all-conference superlatives. I'm going to give out the players of the year. Offensive rookie of the year was Isaiah Teal from Bluefield State. Defensive rookie of the year was KJ McNeil from Virginia State. Offensive player of the year was Isaiah Freeman from Lincoln, Pennsylvania. Defensive player of the year was Willie Drew from Virginia State. Lineman of the year was Justin Meade from Virginia Union. Special teams player of the year was Brady Myers from Virginia Union. And coach of the year was Dr. Alvin Parker from Virginia Union. Also, you had the CIAA, where you had but Benedict continues to do what they do. It was close for maybe the first 5 minutes of the game, something like that. Yeah. When it was 3-0, it wasn't very long before it went down 47-10. Also want to give out their players of the year as they announced that officially Friday as well. Defensive player of the year was Benedict Robert Nellis. Offensive player of the year, and shout out to A.D. Drew. He talked about this for much of the year and kept everybody's eye on it. David Wright from Allen University. Freshman of the year was Frederick Gaines, a freshman running back from Albany State Golden Rams. Got it done. Newcomer of the year was Fort Valley State's Brandon Marshall, leading the league in rushing, was the newcomer of the year. And coach of the year, none other than Chennis Berry, the head coach of Benedict Tigers. We'll see what that means in terms of B.J. Jones and his thoughts from earlier today. With that being said, we're going to go into our first break, and we'll be back on the other side, and we'll discuss some of these matchups as we get going today. With that being said, shout out to the Virginia Union Panthers, but it's officially time to turn the page. With that, we'll be right back after this break and get on to some of the dialogue that will take place. Hope you enjoyed the intro. Stick with it.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
You see, Head & Shoulders has scalp shield technology, protects against flakes even between washes. It's never not working.
Kind of like us. We're never not working. Number 15?
That's my rub.
Ooh, nice.
Never not working.
Never, ever, never, ever not working.
Welcome everybody to Juneau, Alaska.
I don't like this one.
Me neither.
Let's get out of here.
Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders scalp shield technology.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
T. Madden and Associates is a sophisticated and experienced law firm located in your neighborhood. We're turning injury to cash.
T. Madden and Associates obtained almost $2 million for my injury. They turned my injury to cash.
Now, we can't guarantee how much your injury is worth, but we've recovered millions for our clients.
Call T. Madden and Associates at 833-PAID-123. That's 833-PAID-123.
This is Brian Fulford. A.D. Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN SportsWrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN SportsWrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a lot, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. As you see, I've officially turned the page. We do have a game today. Texas Southern Longhorn. It becomes very important in the Western Division. So I'll be headed to the game after the show. It's 2:00, so I want to get there early, beat the track, get set it up. I'm guest of the VP of Athletics, so I'll be in the suite. So I just want to make sure I'll add the little jacket, just to let you all know. So just telling you. Mike, don't talk. You in Brazil on the beach.
Man, why you gotta toss that up?
You got room service in the middle of the show. You going to get the door so you can put your breakfast meal. Room service on the thing. I don't want to hear about you, man. No. You talking about Howard University. They don't know you. Your standards. You fit right in.
He can pass, y'all. He can pass.
Let me get into the scores of the mid-majors. We touched on this a little bit, but we have a couple of more here, and I want to do the top 7 from that list. At number 7, the Albany State Golden Rams lost to Benedict Tigers 47-10. They fall to 6-5 and 6-2 overall. At number 6, you had the Florida Memorial Lions as they were fighting for a share of the championship of the Sun Conference over there. Took it to the chin. They were playing Keiser Seahawks, who were ranked 6th in the NAIA, 44-13. So they fall 6-4, 5-2. The number 5, Johnson C. Smith Golden Bulls did not play. They remain at 7-3, 6-2. Their season is likely complete. They are in a position that they might get the bid to the bowl game, the Beach Bowl game. So we'll leave that just right there. As well as number 4, Virginia State Trojans did not play. They're sitting at 8-2 and 6-2. Might be one of the stronger candidates for the Beach Bowl. But that brings us to number 3. Fayetteville State Broncos defeat Virginia Union Panthers 21-10. They fall to 8-3, 8-0 as they lose the CIAA championship to number 2, Virginia Union Panthers, who defeat Fayetteville State Broncos 21-10, who are squarely in a position for the playoffs. 80, Drew, you were saying that Fayetteville State may be what?
Right now, looking at the projections that were updated after yesterday's games, Fayetteville State is sitting in the number 7 spot. Normally, the number 7 spot would concern you because if there is a conference champion that is within the top 9, basically number 8 and number 9, they can bump the number 17 from the playoff as what they call a preferred qualifier on the Division II level. But all of the conference champions are ranked higher than Fayetteville State. So Fayetteville will not get bumped by a conference champion. The only thing is, according to the projections, Limestone out of the South Atlantic Conference is sitting in the 8th slot along with Mars Hill in the number 9 slot. Will the committee decide to bump one of those up? And basically, we talking bias here. Should they bump up a South Atlantic team over a CIAA team?
Perfectly explained. Good stuff. The Benedict Tigers defeat the Albany State Golden Rams 47-10. They complete the undefeated season, regular season, and conference championship 11-0, 8-0. Do they remain number 1 in that ranking?
Yes, Benedict is number 1 with Valdosta State a close number 2. So once again, that's going to be one of those. That's going to be one of those. Will the conference bias of the Gulf South outshine the Benedict of what they've done all year? And let's be real, they're going to remember what happened when Benedict lost in the second round last year when they make the decision. But the number 2 team, Valdosta State, didn't even make it to the playoffs last year. So I would say advantage Benedict in that case.
Who are they projected?
Great comment.
Well, Benedict will have a first round bye.
Okay.
That's what's so important about the number 1 seed. You get the bye. Right. That's why I was asking. Valdosta State, though, is interesting from this perspective. The head coach happens to be an HBCU alumni of Texas Southern University. And you talking about B.J. Jones and his concerns with Southern University and what that loss to Prairie View may mean. Oddly enough, it was intriguing to me as I texted him quietly behind the scene. Many people believe that the victory of Prairie View over Southern 3 years ago was a large impetus in terms of him jumping to the head of the line for the candidate to become the head coach, and losing to them may have cost that. So Texas Southern, depending on how things finish up, their head coach McKinney is at the end of his contract. Will he, Texas Southern University, be looking for a head coach? And so it's going to be interesting what direction they go. Go ahead, Drew.
Last one, Virginia Union right now is currently projected to be 5th in the final rankings. Obviously, number 5 goes on the road. 5, 6, and 7 are at larges. So it doesn't go with your traditional seeds 4, 5, 6, 3. 5, 6, and 7 can play anyone. They look at those geographically, but you will probably get a 4-5 matchup if this plays out between Virginia Union and Lador-Rhine, as geographically that is the closest team to them.
Good stuff.
Or Fayetteville could play Lador-Rhine and they could send Virginia Union, but I think they would send Fayetteville down to Valdosta State, realistically, with West Florida and Delta State possibly playing, but they try not to do those conference matchups in the first round. So that's what makes this kind of intriguing on where they would send to West Florida.
Good stuff for your Division II breakdown of the playoffs coming out of the championship games. Well done, Professor Drew. With that being said, let me get in the major division, top 7 from this perspective. 3 teams lost yesterday, including the number 1 team, the HBCU ranking. That's after they ascended to the number 1 spot in Dr. Cavil's poll after 2 weeks. Number 7, sometimes that number 1 seed has this curse. Number 7, the Hampton Pirates lost to the William and Mary Tribe, 31-20. They had the lead early in their game around halftime, and then things fell apart. So they fall to 5-5 on the season. 3-4, they still have a winning season in sight. We'll see how that goes as they close things up. At number 6, Tennessee State Tigers lost their second consecutive game, the Eastern Illinois Panthers, 30-17. They're going in the wrong direction after they clinched a winning season 2 games ago. They fall to 6-4, and worse yet, 2-3 in the conference. It was a back and forth game. They were right there in the midst of things. 17-14. Things got away from them late in that game. They fall 30-17, as I said. Number 5, Alabama State Hornets, one of the hottest teams out there, the Mississippi Valley State Delta Devils. They win 23 in the Delta, as it was a tough matchup there. They continue to do what they do on the defensive side of the things, depending on what takes place today at Texas Southern Alcorn or next week in the Soul Bowl with Jackson State, Alcorn State. That game could be interesting. When I say that game, that's Prairie View at home. Guess who their opponent is coming across the conference of the Eastern Division? Alabama State. So there's not anything to say that you could have Alcorn lose one of those games and still get in because Alabama State out of the East gets it done against Prairie View. Wow, that would be intriguing in terms of the wacky West. And number 3, the Jackson State Tigers just sit up pretty and watch all the carnage as they did not play. 7-3, 5-2 is their record. Number 2, Florida A&M Rattlers defeat Lincoln, California, Oakland Landers. Everybody was talking about their schedule early, but it seems like they set it perfect up late as they win 28-0. They rest a lot of players, including the quarterback. They improved to 9-1 to 7-0. 5 first place votes. You have to believe they'll send to the number 1 seed. What does that mean when they play their rival, Bethune-Cookman, last week? As Bethune-Cookman got a big win over Alabama A&M, coming from behind and getting that done, just to give you some indication of moving forward what that looks like. Which we get to the big one here. North Carolina Central. Eagles lost to Howard Bison 50-20, which included a late score, more importantly, a 2-point conversion. Make sure they put up 50 spots, 8-2, 3-1. Erica, can you explain for those that may not have kept up with the reason it was important to Howard Bison, coaching staff, players, and certainly the fans to get to that 50 number, magical 50 number, if you would?
Well, last year's contest in Durham, Central scored 50 on us, and we did not hear the end of it all year, including during MEAC Media Days, when Coach Scott talked about maybe winning a MEAC championship, and Central's coach, Trey Oliver, said, "We put 50 on them. Who wants to pay to see that twice?"
And that video was out there for public consumption because Joshua Senior had to leave to check out the hotel and get on the road. That was serious. He didn't just bail. He's traveling. So he did want to make sure that he was on for the first segment to take it all in.
I got a question, though.
That was fascinating. I'll let you get that in. It was fascinating. If you go on there, you'll see that quote. And I knew it then. And those that cover HBCUs, but particularly get into the MEAC, HBCU Nightly on Wednesdays, that's been a dialogue for much of the year. And Erica has been there to make sure that she lets everybody know how she feels talking about those Bison. B-I-S-O-N. Go Bison.
My favorite cheer.
You don't have to say all that. You don't have to say all that.
My favorite cheer. But
You don't have to say all that.
I've taken
Mike, go ahead.
You said, go ahead.
Go ahead, Erica.
I mean, I took my licks for 365 days on that performance in Durham last year.
So that means you're here to give some licks back?
You know, I'm going to be measured.
Hey, receipts or something else.
She's been on the other side of it. She know how this works. Be careful. Go ahead.
We have a game left, so I'm going to be measured.
All right. While we could explain why Howard went for the 2 to make it an even 50, I need somebody to just please explain to me why when you're trailing by 4 touchdowns and you score 1 to cut it to 3 touchdowns at that point in time in the game, you go for 2. Because there is no math that I could do where 8, 8, and 8 still puts you to 28. Last time I checked, 8 times 3 was 24. Even if you throw in a field goal in there, you're still down 1 point. So to the life of me, I do not understand when you down 4 scores at that point, that you go for 2. Help me out, somebody.
BJ Jones, can you explain that you resident coach on here? Then I know you're on the defensive side, so it might be challenged on this one. But the analytics part that we talked about, can you explain maybe the rationale?
It didn't add up on that one.
Hey, I don't get it. I was always told that you don't chase points until you actually had to. That's always been the frame of thinking from the offensive guys they've always given me.
Great questions by all of y'all. With that being said, we're going to go to our next segment. We'll come back right after this break, and we'll actually get into some of the games, get these gentlemen's thoughts on what took place yesterday as the world tumbled and fell for some, and rise and rose for others. With that being said, we'll be right back after this next break.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna loud and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill inside the HBCU Sports Lab here on a Sunday morning, giving you updates of what took place in the HBCU world. We have none other than my co-host, Mike Washington Charles Bishop, also the co-host for our Sunday show, 80 Drew BJ Jones, Erica Lee of X's and O's with Joshua Sim Sr. He had to get out of here to make his way back home, checking out his hotel. With that being said, let's get into our first matchup. That first matchup is in Miami Gardens, Florida, Betty T. Ferguson Stadium. The Sun Conference Championship was on the line, at least a share of it, for Florida Memorials. It was not to be, as the number 6 Florida Memorials Lions fall 6-4, 5-2, as we said, as they were defeated by the number 6 NIA program, Keiser Seahawks, who improved to 8-2, 7-0. Final score of the game was 44-13. 80 Drew, what did you think of that matchup?
What do I think of that matchup? The well-ran drive for Florida Memorial. Let's be real. Florida Memorial overachieved a lot this year. They were probably a year ahead of schedule for what everybody thought they would be. And I talked to Coach Rome about a week ago, and I told him explicitly, I was like, I love how y'all playing, but y'all are about a year ahead of schedule. He agreed with me when I stated that. And this Keiser team is something nice. They basically ran all over Florida Memorial, 277-9. I'm gonna say that again: 277 rushing yards to 9 by Florida Memorial. I mean, they almost doubled them in first downs, 21-13. So it was just total domination in a game that Keiser needed to make sure that they won to have sole possession of first place in the Sun Conference, and Florida Memorial needed to win the game to create havoc and chaos, but they came up a little bit short on yesterday.
Certainly. Good stuff. BJ Jones, let me go to you for this matchup out of the SIAC. It's my understanding that you were there fighting through a little bit of the precipitation for that matchup in Atlanta Lakewood Stadium, SIAC Championship. The number 1 Benedict Tigers improved 11-0, 8-0 as they defeat number 7 Albany State Golden Rams that fall to 7-5, 6-2, 47-10 final. The game started out slow. It looked like maybe Albany could get it there, but then the Benedict Tigers wake up and do what they do. But with that being said, what were your thoughts in terms of that game?
Man, shout out to my neighbor Kenneth, who's an Albany State guy, played for the Golden Rams in the late 90s, early 2000s. Came to me late, was like, hey, man, you want to go out there with me? I was like, yeah, cool. And I'm going to tell you, Doc, at the beginning of the game, he was a lot confident. He was saying that this Albany State football team was different than the Albany State team that we all saw at the beginning of the season. He pointed back to that Miles contest and how the Golden Rams look. And for the first couple of possessions, it was punt. He looked pretty good. But I told him, I said, man, this Benedict offense, they can explode. And Lord, did they explode. I was shocked that number 10, the receiver, was a freshman. I want to say he had 94 yards receiving like midway through the second quarter, on 6 receptions and a touchdown. Man, Benedict, it's like when they get started, there's nothing you can do. And that Benedict team up front dominated on both sides of the football, offensive line, defensive line. And the thing with Benedict is that they're so fast, they're so physical, but they are so deep. You saw them at times yesterday literally rotate defensive line units, the entire unit at one time, and there was literally no drop-off. This Benedict football team, I think that they'll be able to make some noise in Division II playoffs. They look pretty good, Doc. They look damn good.
I appreciate that analysis. It's always fascinating when you get in the playoffs. Oftentimes, you have teams that have high-powered offenses, but it's the defense that allows you to matriculate through the playoffs and potentially make a deep run. So that's why I think there's a different type of focus on the Benedict Tigers. It will be intriguing as A.D. Drew broke down clearly, what are the frameworks for the playoffs, and we'll see what holds true, what could happen, may happen in terms of those perceptions. With that being said, let me go to Charles and turn the page and get into some of the CIAA love. We got Charles doing some extra credit work for us in a lot of ways. Usually we have Joshua Sims gives us that information on the CIAA, and oftentimes A.D. Drew in terms of what he does at the C2 level. He does it. But let me ask Charles, what were your thoughts in terms of that game? Much closer than what we've seen in the SIC. Yeah. But Virginia Union was able to break through and get it done. Number 2, Virginia Union Panthers at a 10-1, 7-1. They defeat number 3 Fayetteville State Broncos. They fall to 8-3, 8-0, obviously, as they were undefeated in the regular season of the conference play. We did have that matchup where Virginia Union lost to Fayetteville State earlier, as A.D. Drew and many others like to talk about the Hurricane game. So it looks like the Panthers are able to get a little payback, probably in what most would say the most important game, and they were able to cross the finish line and get it done in terms of raising up the trophy for the first CIAA championship in a great amount of time. Credit to Dr. Coach Parker for getting it done with those Virginia Union Panthers. What were your thoughts, Charles?
Hats off to Virginia Union for getting it done. And like you mentioned, I think when we talked about it in the breakdown, looking at the CIAA championship game, it was going to come down to defense and rushing attack. And what the stat that jumped out for me with regards to yesterday, Virginia Union, Jada Byers had 40 attempts rushing, 40 attempts, 135 yards. But the game seemed to have turned on a turnover, muff punt, and Virginia Union took control of the game from that point on. But 21-10, good defensive type game. Not a lot of fireworks from the air with regard to Virginia Union, but again, we talk about it all the time. Defense and a running game will take you a long way, and sure enough, that's what happened with Virginia Union yesterday and capturing their first CIAA title since 2001.
Good stuff, Charles. Great breakdown. Let's get into our last break. We'll come back on the other side and get into some of these major division matchups, and we'll make sure Erica gets in here and gets to talk a little bit about the Howard and North Carolina Central game. She's going to show you that not only does she know how to cheer appropriately, but she can get inside some of that football talk as well. And then we'll have BJ Jones give us some thoughts Mike is having electrical power problems, as you know, in Brazil. They're in the summer part of the season, so they have a lot of folks using it. So we'll see if we can get him populated. If not, we'll let BJ Jones break down what took place in Baton Rouge. In terms of the game, it was a close one, but they were able to pull it out. With that being said, let's get in our last break, and we'll get these gentlemen back on the other side and get into some other additional talk on the major division games of the week. Stick with me.
You're looking
after this flash break
for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember they can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft. Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody. Sorry.
Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more, but it's so absorbent, you can use less, so it's always worth it.
Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go, why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
At CDW, we get speed as the new currency of success.
Our team spends way too much time tending to outdated applications and software when they should be focused on driving application agility and innovation.
CDW Amplify Development Services modernizes software and application development to help accelerate innovation and digital transformation.
So you mean building new applications, UI, and mobile interfaces?
Well, you said you needed to innovate more quickly.
Oh, so he's a listener.
To do more at scale, trust CDW Amplify Development Services.
Test the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a law, and who the ball, So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Dr. Bill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Let's get into some of these games. We're gonna save the major division classic game, which is Hampton and William and Mary. We might have time to get that on the backside, as well as the Tennessee State Eastern Illinois game in terms of the independent conference of the game. We'll see if AD Drew wants to get a little piece of those on the backside of that. And even Charles may want to get one of those as well in terms of what that looks like. With that being said, let's go to the SWAC first. We'll save the best for last for Erica in terms of the MEAC matchup. With that being said, we're going to go to you, BJ Jones, with the SWAC major division game of the week. That was a top 10 matchup. It was an intriguing top 10 matchup because these teams had both kind of fallen off the board in a lot of ways, but they're one of those teams that both of these teams kind of stayed in the mix. With that being said, Prairie View A&M at number 10 gets the best of Southern, and they improved, winning 2 in a row, 5-5 overall on the season, 5-2, so they get a chance to have a winning record. More importantly, they do stay in the race for the Western Division. I don't know if they want that rematch against FAMU, but I guess a coaching team, they always want a chance to play for a championship. With that being said, they defeat number 8 Southern Jaguars that fall to 5-5. They will have an interesting Bayou Classic because it will not be for the Marbles in terms of the Western Division. But both teams, Grambling, come in 5-5 after Grambling won on Friday night against Pine Bluff. Talking about scoring late in that matchup, that's twice coaches done that. It's interesting to see what that means. 4-3, the Southern Jaguars fall in the conference race, which means they're out of the Western Division championship race. They fall 27-21, kind of goes back and forth. With that being said, before I shifted over to BJ Jones, Charles brought this to my attention. Southern has lost to FAMU, Jackson State, and now Prairie View, and just got out of there with Texas Southern to get that victory that they took the jaws of defeat away from literally Texas Southern. But they have lost 3 of those games at home on the Bluff, which at one time was really unheard of to lose all those type of games at home. Good point. I won't let Charles get in trouble sneaking in there talking about their angels dancing because of that. With that being said, BJ Jones, what are your thoughts in terms of this game?
And the frustration continues for Jaguar Nation. If you look at that ball game yesterday, in the first half, Southern was able to rack up 217 yards, 21 points offensively, right? So it looks like, okay, maybe finally the offense has been fixed. You come back into the second half, And these are the second half totals. 0 first downs, 57 total yards, 0 points. It looked like more of the same. And just the penalties, this thing that the kids do in the middle of the third or the fourth quarter where they're literally out in the middle of the field yapping in the middle of the light show. People are going back to the lack of discipline of this football team, the lack of adjustments, particularly by the offensive coaching staff, and the stubbornness of the head coach. Like I said, if you thought that there was heat in Baton Rouge before yesterday, I was up on the phone talking to different people in different alumni groups till I know 4 a.m. this morning. People, it's gone past a red flame. It is a blue flame in Baton Rouge right now.
I hear it. Yeah, to your point, Prairie was able to put 347 yards up in total offense. And so just when it looked like the offense, certainly in the first half, was getting together, the defense kind of took a step back in a lot of ways, which most people thought certainly was the heart of the team. So to your points, you kind of fix one side and then something else happens. Passing, they were able to put 184 yards up, credit to Conley. Not one that you think a great deal about passing, but he was pretty steady, definitely efficient, 10 for 16, 184 yards and a touchdown with several deep passes that made big plays, a couple of them just out steps. So the fact that they decided to go over the top against Southern was intriguing to me, and it allowed them to get the rest of the game going where they rushed for 163 yards. So I certainly see what you're talking about, B.J. Jones, as I watched that game intently going back and forth. I thought it was intriguing about the last play. That if people watched it, I don't know if you stuck around for that or you were by that time were you on your phone talking to the needed sources to get your information as you appropriately do, is the fact that looked like the time had ran out. They said, no, there was 3 seconds. And it took them forever to get folks off the field. So it looked like Southern, even the players and the coaches, was like resigned. Oftentimes, you would do everything to get that playoff, even though you know how challenging it would be. They got the play off and actually got a tip ball for the reception, but it fell short in terms of the end zone. And to Prairie View's credit, they played it right and made sure they tackled the guy before he could get going. So that was that matchup. With that being said, let's get into the game of the week and maybe now the game of the year in terms of how it played up with a major upset.
Let me go back to Southern. Real quick. And I wanted to ask BJ this, in terms of just observationally looking at the game, did you feel as though offensively they moved better with Noah Biden or Harold Blue?
It seems that they moved a lot better with Noah Biden, but it's like every time he got going, he was pulled. So it's like that he's never had an opportunity to really get a real flow of the ball game. And I think that can confuse people on yesterday. But, I think that people would like to see more of Biden to see what he could do. But Harold didn't play a bad game on yesterday if you look at it.
Yeah. I was just confused a little bit yesterday, just kind of watching it because I just couldn't get a sense of how Southern was going to, continuously keep moving the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah. Noah Biden, to your point, was 4-7 for 99 yards. In that contest. So he didn't get many opportunities, but he was pretty efficient when he did. With that being said, let's sneak into the game that we had, the major game. Washington, D.C. was the scene of the crime for some. Green Stadium. It kicked off on ESPNU 2:30. The number 9 Howard Bison come in. They improved with the win to 5-5 on the season. Chance for a winning season. More importantly, they put themselves as the front runner to literally clinch their ticket to the Celebration Bowl with a win at home next week against Morgan State Bears. As Erica has clearly stated, it's a rivalry for Morgan State, but not for Howard. So for you all out there that new beginners to the MEAC, do not make that mistake just because they are from the DMV that this is a rivalry game, or at least according to Erica and many of the Howard Bison folks. Morgan State Bears may be a little different when you're talking Malcolm Banks. That's another subject. We'll take care of that on Wednesday on HBCU Nightly. NCAA FCS number 7 comes into the house. Number 1 in the HBCU rankings, North Carolina Central Eagles. And if you listen to my calls on Monday, I spelled it out clearly on the football coaches poll in regards to the magnitude of this game, coming off of Howard having a tough road loss to South Carolina State. They pushed forward and made it close at the end, but could not get over the hump as they've done in their previous 2 games in the MEAC standings, where they pulled out victories late in matchups to keep the magical season now that we're talking about coming to fruition. With that said, the Eagles fall to 8-2 overall. More importantly, to 3-1 in the conference race, which means now they need some help. Remember, this was similar to last year. We'll see if it falls to be the case again. Not according to the Bison. They want their ticket to Atlanta, and they say they will show up. And don't be afraid, as AD said, who may show up. He may need to get there early. With that being said, they put up 50 spots. We talked about that. 50-20 as Howard wins. The Eagles fall. Erica, tell us about this game, if you would. What stood out to you?
521 yards of total offense. Q, and I've had my critiques about our QB, Q Williams, but he was very efficient, 23 of 33 yesterday. They had 28 first downs. Rushing was balanced, 244 yards. And it was really good to see that Q was getting his check downs. He was going to his running backs, turn receivers, and seeing them eat up yardage in the way that they did. 21 points in the second quarter. It was like they turned on the ignition and pressed the gas and never let up. And I think when people talk about Howard football, we know we have the best backfield in all of HBCU football between Ian Wheeler, Jared Hunter, Eden James, Casey Hawthorne. We've got 4 guys that can get it done. But I don't look at Howard as a rushing team, because if you look at the stats, our rushing yards over the season and our passing yards over the season are pretty comparable. I think when they have a balanced attack, when they're rushing and they're passing in a very balanced manner, we will win games. And we see when we fall away from one of those two, typically if we fall away for the rushing and only focus on the passing, that's when we start to get ourselves into trouble. So it was very nice to see that, the rushing and the passing yards yesterday were very balanced. There were no turnovers, no fumbles, no interceptions. It was a clean game. And that was really great to see.
I think your point in terms of being a clean game, which in this game was important because you didn't give any momentum back after Howard clearly took it. There were chances, and most of those came on special teams and one big play where you saw maybe that the Eagles going to turn the tide, and they stepped on the gas offensively. You talked about Jared Hunter getting it done, rushing the ball. He had 113 yards, 14 carries, got in the end zone twice. And the big thing was the big run yardage that they were able to get. He busted one for 42 yards. James, not to be outdone, Eden James had 84 yards on 9 carries. That means he had over 9 yards average and busted out a 45-yard run. Jared Hunter's average is 8.1. So they were nearly rushing for a first down just between those two backs. And shout out to Ian Wheeler. I think he might have got bumped up a little bit in that game, or he might even did more, 6 of 28. Quentin Williams even pulled the ball down and did a little more rushing with his feet as he had some crucial 4-15, including one that got him into the end zone. That pass he had right before halftime that looked like maybe they're going to force Howard to have a field goal kick and see how that happened. The momentum clearly stayed with with that great toss to the back of the end zone. Wide receiver slipped in, and even a better catch in terms of diving, elongated, getting his hands on the ball, going to the ground, making sure that he got his feet in. Certainly got the one. Actually got 2 in, and dragging that feet. It was a beautiful catch and kind of set the stage. Any final thoughts on terms of that, getting that touchdown before the half?
Well, it was wonderful to see that he got both feet in. But to me, Q knowing when to pull down the ball and run has been a critique of mine for 2 years. the flat will be open and he's still looking because he's very, pass first type of QB. He's a pocket passer. And to see him start to really learn this season or do more of this season of knowing when to pull the ball down and just get the yards. And he did that yesterday. And I think he's going to have to do that again against Morgan State because that defense isn't going to give him much.
Mm-mm. With that being said, we labeled our classic game, William and Mary in Hampton. We know the history of those HBCU fans and when it was played in the playoffs. Now this is a conference game out of the Coastal, formerly known as the Colonial CIAA. Hampton loses 31-10. Any thoughts on this, Drew? Just general thoughts in terms of this matchup. Howard had it in their midst for a little while, and then William and Mary pulls away late as Hampton falls in this matchup.
No, not a whole lot on this. When Hampton doesn't play in HBCU, it seems like Hampton comes back to reality. I mean, William and Mary, depending on where you look at, is one of the top 10 teams in FCS football. So this did not totally surprise me that this result was good. Hampton has the ability, especially with the quarterback running back duo, to be average teams, even above average teams, but they aren't quite there yet to be able to compete with some of those elite level teams in the CAA.
With that being said, similar type of question for you, Charles. Tennessee State, I know as what some would say is a rivalry for Jackson State, depending on how you put up there. I think you keep kind of loose inside of Tennessee State. You talked about the fan base for a little bit. Some of them got on the road to go to Eastern Illinois. They were in this for a bit of the game. They were able to come back several times, but the latter part of it, Eastern Illinois, the Panthers pull away and win it 30-17. What looked like maybe a magical season for Tennessee State has stopped short of a winning season that is guaranteed as they fall in this matchup. Any general thoughts in terms of Tennessee State? Obviously, the playoff hopes are out the window as well now with this loss.
Yeah, well, I said going into this game, Tennessee State's defense was going to have to carry them in terms of trying to stop this Eastern Illinois offense. And unfortunately, they wore down late in this game. So it's tough. But, I think for Tennessee State fans, and this is probably better because I know my boy is listening right now, they'll take solace. We're going to have to take solace in the winning season. But like you said, they faltered down the stretch here. And it's been kind of a tough pill because I wanted to see them really kind of turn the corner, if you will, in the Big South OVC, and just wasn't to be over the past couple of weeks.
Sticking with that, we're going to move forward. We do have a matchup today, 2:00. Houston here, Alcorn State Braves against Texas Southern University. Charles, any thoughts in terms of this matchup? Can Texas Southern shock the Western Division and finally get over the hump and get a Western Division win? They've been in close in many games, particularly West Division games, which is probably the things that people are hanging their hat on if the Tigers are able to get it done. What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup?
I don't think the secret is too much of a secret with regards to Texas Southern. They got to be able to run the football. They got to be able to run the football against a stingy Alcorn defense that has been ascending over the past few weeks. And then they got to have a big game out of Jacob Williams. He's one of the top sack masters in the SWAC. He's gone unnoticed, quite honestly, in terms of Texas Southern's record this season. But he's one of those guys who really gets after the quarterback. They're going to have to figure out a way to get to Aaron Allen today, because what makes, I think, Alcorn very dangerous, we all know they can run the football, but they've been a balanced football team with regards to throwing the ball to Martaria Harden, guys of that nature. So you've got to figure out a way to disrupt Alcorn's offense that has really been in rhythm and really been humming over the past few weeks.
Probably one of the hottest teams out there. BJ Jones, I saw you nodding in affirmation. Anything you want to add to that? You're on mute.
Texas Southern, man, has to limit Alcorn on the ground. I think your chances go up exponentially when you can limit Alcorn to just a passing team. One thing about Aaron Allen, on the road, he's been shown that he'll throw you a couple. Mm-hmm. And I think Texas Southern can be opportunistic, stop the run. they'll have a shot. Also, offensively, man, Ladarius Owens got to get it going. Get that run game going early for Texas Southern. Don't give Alcorn any short fields, limit the turnovers, and they'll have a shot. The pressure is on Alcorn. They know what they have going, what's on the line in this ball game. And if you're Texas Southern, you're just simply playing with house money. You have nothing to lose. You can let it all hang out. And there's no pressure on them. All the pressure is on Alcorn, and we'll see, how the Tigers come out this afternoon once it gets kicked off later on today.
And to Texas Southern's credit, they gonna play you 4 quarters. I give them credit.
Oh yeah, I'm glad
they gonna fight y'all 4 quarters. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're gonna be in the game. They're not gonna just lay down because of their record. They believe in playing, and they think they should be good, so they're gonna keep playing. Eric, I'm gonna go to you because I want to talk about next week's game, Morgan State and Howard. What are your thoughts in that matchup, and what does Howard need to do to get that victory and make sure that they don't get caught up in still celebrating what they were able to get done this weekend in terms of defeating the number 1 ranked Eagles?
I mean, the offense is going to have to play a very clean game. That defense is really not going to give them anything. The rushing attack has to be all 4 guys have to be locked in, loaded, ready to go. And our receivers and our tight ends really need to have a day and really challenge their corners. So the defense, I mean, Morgan State's offense to me is a little anemic. They have,
You're being kind when you say a little anemic.
I'm trying to be nice. They got a new quarterback in. He's quite a bit more productive than their previous quarterback they had. So, but this is only going to be his 2nd or 3rd game playing, and this is a very big time game. So we'll have to see how it goes. But our defense sometimes can really allow a lot of yards on the ground. And so they're going to have to figure out how to make sure that Morgan doesn't get a rushing attack that gets started with momentum that won't stop.
Good points. Even with that victory they had over South Carolina State, it was the special team play with that last touchdown that got them over the hump to get that victory in that matchup. AD Drew, wanted to get you on the Blue Florida Classic in terms of Bethune-Cookman. Bethune-Cookman has won the game against Alabama A&M, so they come in feeling at least a little better about themselves. They put up some points in that game, particularly in the second half. Any concerns you have as FAMU has played well all year long, been ranked 1 or 2, probably will go back to the number 1 ranking in most polls if they weren't number 1 in some of the polls already. Anything in a collision course are them looking ahead to the SWAC championship game in terms of them being able to get it done. I know FAMU fans are going to be talking about if we still owe Bethune-Cookman. They had it for a decade essentially. So on y'all side, it'll be like, no, we need to do what we need to do.
No, not essentially, Dr. Cavil. It was a decade. That was 9 seasons plus a COVID year before we were able to get a victory against Bethune-Cookman. And when you look back at the 9 years of the games played on the field, FAMU was favored in like 6 of those 9. So is there concern? Of course there's concern. It's Bethune-Cookman. Anything can happen against a Bethune-Cookman. Just like Alcorn, Jackson State, and everybody else that plays in a rival game on the last weekend of the season. You need to be concerned over there too, Erica. Yeah. Even though it's not a rival game, it's just something. It's just something about that. It's only a half rival. It's a rivalry to the Boise State Bears. So, which is the concern when one person takes it serious and the other person doesn't. But anyway, getting back to FAMU and that school on the beach. Yes, we're taking this serious. We have something that we want to accomplish. Yeah, that school on the beach. We have something that we want to accomplish. We're playing for perfection in the season. We're not counting that game against South Florida. We're playing for perfection on the FCS level, leading us and getting momentum staying healthy, going into the SWAC championship game against, let me be realistic, against the Alcorn team that scares the crap out of me in a championship game, because Alcorn's strengths kind of play to some of FAMU's weaknesses, especially if they stay with that ground attack at Alcorn. Yes, it concerns me, Charles. So,
Drew would say
I talked all the way around it, but yes, FAMU better come out, get up big. Do not let off the gas pedal.
You done already penciled Alcorn in that down to Tallahassee. That's what caught me.
Well, the thing is, Alcorn is the team of the two teams. It's either Alcorn or Prairie View. Of the two teams that we could possibly face, Alcorn is the one that scares me out of the two. That's why I say that. No disrespect to Prairie View if Prairie View gets in, but Alcorn scares me because of the matchup. And styles make fights. I think that style will make a great fight for the championship game versus we've seen FAMU, Prairie View.
Professor Drew, you covered it.
It was not pretty.
Professor Drew, you covered up that really well when Charles pivoted on you. Since that's the direction we're going, Charles, and you ready to get past this, we can do it at 6 o'clock, but we can't wait to 6 o'clock, so we're going to do it now. We got the Soul Bowl coming up next week. Jackson State, Alcorn State. Whether Alcorn is coming off of winning the game today, which they really will be hot, or more important, if they lose, they certainly will need to be in a position to get that game. What are your thoughts in terms of Jackson State having a week off and the Braves coming in 1 day short of the natural game, having to have this game pushed back? For those that hadn't heard, MLS, the Houston Dynamo, they share the stadium with Texas Southern. They had a chance playoff game. So last week it was determined to push this game back to Sunday today, and it kicks off at 2 o'clock. My understanding will be on ESPN Plus for those that want to get a little extra time in and bypass some of the NFL, or have both of them on to make sure you get the support of HBCUs. Charles, with all that being said in the mix, what are your thoughts next week with the Soul Bowl, Capital City Classic, as its newer rendition, now just a home and home series, with what should be on the line, the Braves having a chance to clinch the Western Division, and Jackson State getting the chance to be a spoiler of it all. And climbing to 8 wins on the season.
Yeah, I think we get an easy 45, 50,000 people in the vet this upcoming weekend. If it is a chance for Jackson State to play spoiler to Alcorn going to the SWAC championship game. I think when you take a look at it, the open week was tremendous for Jackson State in terms of getting a lot of guys healthy. And if you are a Jackson State fan, you have to be a little bit excited because you got a couple guys on your staff specifically that are intimately familiar with Alcorn and Alcorn's personnel. When you take a look at sort of the matchups, and then the fact that you have Aaron Allen, who's proven himself a capable passer, going against the nation's one of the top secondaries in the nation in terms of picking teams off. Jackson State leads the nation in interception. So I think those are a couple of things that you take a look at, and the opportunity to get Irv Mulligan a little more healthy, that could go a long way towards helping out Jacoby Morgan. I think as Jackson State's offense goes, Irv Mulligan is certainly the guy who stirs the pot with regards to what they can do on the offensive side of the ball, because the threat of him really opens up the passing game for Jackson State.
Let me sneak this in and get your thoughts on this. It's a little off the radar and probably highly unlikely. Erica would like this, though. Howard gets it done, beats Morgan State, which means now North Carolina Central is squarely in a position for FCS playoff. 8-3, Jackson State is in a position, quietly is talking, that they may be on the backside, looking to see if they can find a way with the 24 teams in the playoffs. What about a playoff matchup that happens to be a rematch of last year's Celebration Bowl with Jackson State and North Carolina Central, first round type of game in the playoffs? What are your thoughts on that, Charles? And it looks like I've piqued people's interest, so I'll go around.
That actually would be fun, because I did get a text from Ashley Robinson this past week sort of stating Jackson State's case for the playoffs, which I thought was very interesting. And when you kind of take a look at the bullet points of some of the things that they pointed out, I was like, that's a little bit more compelling than I had originally, thought. So to actually see a potential of a Jackson State North Carolina Central rematch, that would be kind of fun to watch. I would pay good money to watch that.
I'm just saying, FCS playoff teams, you talk about getting HBCUs, you want to get some interest to extra television. They'll be right on the edge, so it's not that you would have to make a hard case. You can get them in there. 80 Drew, what are your thoughts on that? Then I come to you, Eric, and BJ Jones. I'll come to you last. Your thoughts on at least the matchup if it does happen. Know the likelihood may not be there.
Well, there's more of a compelling argument for Central to get in based on their non-conference schedule.
No doubt.
That's the one benefit of the BAC with the schedule format the way it is. Playing those competitive non-conference games really puts Central in a good position to get into the FCS playoffs. Jackson State, some things would have to go right, and teams ahead of them would have to lose this weekend to put Jackson State in a position. But would it be it? Would I want to see it? Honestly, no, because I get tired of let's get rid of one of them and let the two of them play each other all the time when we get into these different scenarios. I don't care if it's NAIA, NCAA, FCS, D2, whatever. They always try to put the two HBCUs to play each other in the first round so we can knock one of them off. And then in the second round, they go up against the number 1 seed and they go in 2 games. It never fails to happen. But I do have, can I throw one other caveat into this?
Yes. Before you do that, we know about the conspiracy theory, who that person is on the show. Charles, you want to point from out to 80 Drew, and then we'll let it finish.
I think the real compelling argument is the potential for the attendance, where you would get, a guaranteed 25,000 with regards to Jackson State, North Carolina Central playing each other again.
No doubt.
But the question would be, which one of them would actually put in for the bid? Because you got a bid at that level. That's the question.
Jackson State
would put in for that.
I know Jackson State would put in for the bid.
They're making a case. I got a text for that case.
That would be a problem because they would get their money back. Exactly. Now the question is, will they be able to earn it? Because you would have to have some things fall in their lap in regards to fall their way. I guess is a better way to put it for them to be able to put in the bid. But I have no reservation that Ashley Robinson would put in the bid because he clearly know he would get the return on that investment without a doubt and make the NCAA happy in terms of being able to put some 40,000, 30+ thousand fans in that stadium. Because again, for Jackson State fans, it's the get back.
Yeah.
It's the get back. And North Carolina's fans now, you talking about them having a reason to get excited about being in the playoffs? They want the message and be like, no, ain't no get back over here. It is what it is.
Right.
So, no.
Exactly.
But in terms of that part of it, that part is earned. Now, how FCS playoffs decides in their framework of how they see HBCUs may be a whole different question. Right or wrong, we have our own framework of what that bias looks like. With that being said, Erica, all that talk, I'm sure makes you happy because that means Howard would be heading in that scenario would be heading to Atlanta. Any final thoughts in terms of a North Carolina Central Jackson State rematch in the FCS playoffs?
I mean, there's a lot of compelling storylines for that rematch. And so I think I would like to see it. I want to see more MEAC SWAC games writ large anyway. Like, I don't feel like we should just be doing MEAC SWAC challenge and onesie twosies here or there, right? Like, I want to see our conferences playing together more. I
love that. Great point.
But, I do understand AD Drew's issue with them pitting us against each other in the first round. That always kind of sucks. But I think you have two very fired up fan bases and very motivated teams. And so let's see how it works. Let's see some of the best of our conferences and see how far they can go.
You brought out some of them subtexts. I forgot about that. You got TC Taylor, that formerly a coach of North Carolina Central.
Yeah.
That's another subline to that plot that you didn't think about. Obviously, Central's coach, he coached in the SWAC, Southern. as well as Grambling. So he's been all around it when you talk about what that looks like. So interesting. BJ Jones, we've been playing with this. You're patient with it, with the stoic face. Let me get your thoughts. Are you going to spoil it for everybody? Or are you going to play along with it?
Yes, I talked to Craig. Had an opportunity to talk to Craig Haley earlier this morning. We vote on the same top 25 poll. It looks like Jackson State has a lot of stuff will have to go wrong for some other people for Jackson State to get in. But let's say if Jackson State were to get in, the likely place they land is probably a road trip to UT Martin. And it looks like North Carolina Central will probably pair up against Furman. What will look like the last projection. So those two, because they would be both at largest, wouldn't see each other. It's very highly unlikely. But look, I would love for Jackson State to get in there. And if you got the campaign, Ashley, man, hey, let's run the campaign. Because I think, they will have a compelling argument with 8 wins. I will tell you this. We did Jackson State no favors. And I'm talking about the Southwestern Athletic Conference as a whole with how we prepared, how we played in the non-conference. Particularly with, some of us playing non-conference games, conference games and non-conference games. And then, we had those contests like, Prairie View and what they did against Abilene Christian and the Houston Baptist. That's why I tell people in September, those non-conference games mean a lot because that's how the conference is rated. What you do in the non-conference helps everyone. Winning conference games only help you. So, that's something that I kind of hate. And I hope that we'll kind of take heed on that. Hey, winning those conference games is what's going to help strengthen the name of the Southwestern Athletic Conference.
Oh, great point. Great point.
So the game against Lincoln don't help you out then, BJ?
At all.
And the game against Virginia Lynchburg don't help your conference rate?
No,
sir.
Okay.
No, sir.
I'm sorry.
I will say this to that point. The only thing in terms of the conference, you're absolutely right. No additional favors. The fact that they're playing the Braves that are hot. Braves do have that FCS win against Magnetes at home. So that matchup in terms of the Braves may go just a little bit further if you're looking for nuggets in the sand to your overall point. So good stuff there. Yes, Drew.
Just quickly. And John Grant, if you're listening, I need you to turn away from the podcast right now because I'm going to say something that may upset you. Let's say Howard and FAMU play in the Celebration Bowl and Howard beats FAM. And Central gets into the FCS playoffs and makes a deep run. You know the question I'm getting ready to ask. Where do you put your national championship? Do you still leave it at the Celebration Bowl with Howard, or if Central, let's say Central makes a run into the third round, maybe semifinals of FCS?
I can
all of a sudden switch that.
I can answer that easy. The championship bowl game is the championship, so it is the championship for that game. What people do not realize is that there are polls out there. Those polls are run by the voters. Those voters get to vote how they see fit. So they could go and make the argument that FAMU, depending if that game is close and plays out, some people still may try to put FAMU as number one in their rankings. Some people, obviously, if Central wins 2 games or so in the playoffs, some people may argue and feel that Central is the best team. They just had a bad day. You can make that argument as well. So I think there's 2 separate things here. We always try to put the round. Go ahead, Eric. What?
That's a really, really bad day.
Of course, Howard would have the Celebration Bowl championship.
Your point was that they had a really, really bad day. And so some still may put them number one. We've seen this before in poll rankings, so it is what it is over the years. So there's 2 separate things. And so I think we oftentimes confuse the two. The voting polls, like the poll that I do with Dr. Cavil, that is a voting poll. It has matched up in regards to have won the championship with Celebration Bowl, but it's not guaranteed. Now, if John Grant comes together and gets all the voting in the polls and we create a metric and we sign some type of a declaration that whoever wins the Celebration Bowl in that poll ranking that we do, that everybody has turned over their vote to do that. That has not taken place. You see that essentially previously in the BCS era. With that being said,
question. I'm sorry. So when South Carolina State at 6-5 beat Jackson State 2-6,
that's where I was going. Yeah.
You had 3 different champions depending on which poll you looked at. Some people still voted Jackson State. Some people voted FAMU that year, and then obviously you had South Carolina State as the Celebration Bowl winner. So that was a disputed national championship. Last year was undisputed.
I guess I don't feel like, maybe I just don't feel like it was disputed, because when I think back to,
for me,
South Carolina State Celebration Bowl team, like nobody's talking about any of those other teams that were voted that they're in FAMU self-declared.
Correct.
That's
correct. The sign marker in Columbia says Black College National Champ. So
right.
Oh, they got them in the rest area now, Charles.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, they got them in the rest area in South Carolina.
What did you say, BJ?
They got them at the rest area in South Carolina.
Oh yeah, I seen it. We took a picture.
Yeah.
I'll put it on the page next week. I took a picture. Charles and I were there together. We walked the campus. We saw it coming and going.
Yeah.
We were going up to Columbia, South Carolina, from Charleston, South Carolina, for a conference, and on the way back, as we were flying back, we got a chance to see it. With that being said, BJ Jones, I did want to sneak this in here as we were going along, but I promise we'll cut it off after this one, BJ Jones. Great dialogue and discussion as we needed to get into that. With that being said, the couple of weeks we had the Bayou Classic. Both teams coming in 5-5. Whoever wins that has a win the season. Is there anything in that for you, or is the Bayou Classic kind of lost a little luster this year?
I mean, the Bayou Classic is always the Bayou Classic. Something special about that ball game. As you see, look at ticket sales. It's close to a sellout. This is the 50th anniversary, the golden anniversary. So everything that, how this game started originally from Tulane Stadium, a lot of the history has been played up. So I think the event that itself, the ball game, it's going to mean the same. But when you look at the Bayou Classic, since we've been having a SWAC championship game, I think 18 times the Bayou Classic has either determined the winner of the West, or one of the teams in the Bayou Classic was going to win the West. I think it's like 18 and maybe 6 of those where it hasn't. So, this year is a little bit different, but it's still going to mean a lot. And I tell you what, it's going to mean a lot for one coach as opposed to the other. Number one, this digging, one coach is safe because he has a 3-year, 100% buyout guarantee. One of those coaches' contract ain't written that way. And so for him to make it to the Bayou Classic, it's going to take a lot of faith. But if you make it there and lose, man, things will get real interesting in 225.
We're going to leave it right there. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. You got all the scoop, all the intrigue, all the updates, all the questions, and they certainly have been answered to us. Make sure you share
Congratulations to Southern's basketball team.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, with all 3 at the beginning of the show of X's and O's crew. That's BJ Jones, the curator of HBCU Weekly, Josh Sims, senior curator of HBCU Nightly, and Erica Lee came on here to give us some love of X's and O's crew as they debut right here on Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Man, what a beautiful sight. Shout out to Charles Bishop as he continues to do work in the lab. Appreciate him. We even had Mike Washington drop in until he had a little trouble with the electricity over there from Brazil. He promised me, I text and made sure he said it on live, that he's going to bring some of that good drink back for us to celebrate in Atlanta. We'll be able to partake. And so just let me know, hit me up. Make sure you catch me and remind me, because I don't want to be gone before y'all catch me and get me in the room, because I get a little happy. 80 Drew with BJ Jones. Make sure you check them out this evening as they give you in-depth knowledge of what took place in HBCU sports. And I'm sure they're going to have a lot to talk about as they get into some love with the basketball is kicked off, as well as football wrap up. They'll get you inside of that. Make sure you check out ONG on Wednesday as they give you all the energy and things that you need. Carlos Brown on Saturday. He got a little bit into this matchup this past weekend, his concerns. And so BJ Jones was on there and they broke it down squarely. So if you want to get inside to see what's going on there, that's no problem. Obviously on Wednesdays, Erica, Joshua Sims, BJ Jones for that, and several others, particularly deep in the MEAC. Some CIAA give you some love on HBCU Nightly, as we said, curated by Joshua Sims Sr. Any updates in terms of Erica in regards to the report of South by Southwest?
So we did not get selected, unfortunately. But what I saw was last year they had a big activation for sports. It was like a week long and they had like 50 or more sessions. This year they only chose 10 sports sessions. So it seems like that element of South by Southwest has shrank, unfortunately. So we'll keep trying. There are other platforms, but
I'm gonna give a special shout out to CSR, College Sports Research Institute, which is in Columbia. I just told you what Charles and I went up there this past weekend. I'm going to put something together to see if we can take what we were going to do in Southwest by Southwest, and we'll see if we can do it for the CSR research. That is in March, and we'll see if we can get that done and see if we can find some love in that more academic space about putting that research together. I think I have somebody that would have a great deal of interest of showcasing HBCUs from that perspective in terms of the director and founder of the CSRI. But that being said, again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock. Sunday, as you know, at 9 a.m. We went a little long, but we had a special guest, had the major upset of the year. So we certainly had to get in that dialogue. We look forward to next week as we discuss the latest in the news. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. That's DrKenyattaCavil on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Twitter. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube and Facebook. When one door closes, another door opens. So we're going to find a way because that's what we do. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles?
Of course.
AD Drew,
Lecture,
BJ Jones and Erica.
Go by.